Silence brings clarity in ways that few other experiences can. In the constant noise and bustle of our everyday lives, it becomes challenging to distinguish between what truly matters and what is merely distraction. We are inundated with information, opinions, and external expectations that cloud our judgment and create mental clutter. Silence, on the other hand, offers a sacred space to step away from all that noise. It is in these moments of quiet that we begin to see through the layers of confusion and gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Without the constant interruptions of external voices, we can start to unravel the complex thoughts and emotions that swirl within us, allowing us to think more clearly and with greater focus. In silence, we create the space necessary for introspection. This is not the type of thinking that occurs in response to external stimuli, but rather a more profound internal dialogue with ourselves. It allows us to sift through the various aspects of our lives, our goals, our desires, our frustrations, and our uncertainties with a sense of calm and purpose. The absence of noise invites us to slow down, giving us the chance to reflect on the patterns of our thinking and behavior. As we sit with our thoughts, we begin to notice what feels right and what feels out of alignment. This clarity helps us to make decisions that resonate with our true selves rather than being influenced by external pressures. Moreover, silence has a way of stripping away the superficial. In our daily interactions, we often feel compelled to say things we don't mean or engage in conversations that lack depth. When we embrace silence, we no longer need to fill the space with empty words. Instead, we can sit with the truth of what we are feeling, even if that truth is uncomfortable. It is through this process of sitting in silence that we begin to understand what is real and meaningful in our lives. The clarity that emerges from this space allows us to see beyond the surface, cutting through the noise and helping us focus on what truly matters. Silence also gives our minds the opportunity to process information in a deeper way. When we are constantly bombarded with noise, we often rush through thoughts and ideas without fully exploring them. But in the stillness, our minds have the chance to slow down and engage in more thoughtful contemplation. This deeper level of thinking leads to greater insights, as we are able to connect the dots between seemingly unrelated ideas. The clarity that comes from this reflective process often reveals solutions to problems that have been troubling us or illuminates new perspectives that we hadn't considered before. In addition to providing mental clarity, silence fosters emotional clarity as well. Our emotions can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially when we are caught up in the chaos of everyday life. Silence creates a space for us to sit with our emotions without judgment, allowing us to observe them more objectively. As we do so, we can begin to understand the root causes of our emotional responses, gaining clarity on why we feel the way we do. This emotional insight is crucial for personal growth, as it empowers us to address the underlying issues rather than simply reacting to surface-level triggers. Silence brings clarity not only to our individual thoughts and feelings, but also to our relationships with others. In silence, we can reflect on our interactions with the people around us, considering how we communicate and connect. This reflection helps us to see where misunderstandings may have arisen or where deeper connections could be cultivated. The space created by silence allows us to step back from the immediate emotional charge of situations, giving us the clarity to approach relationships with greater understanding, compassion, and intention. Furthermore, the clarity that emerges from silence extends to our sense of purpose. In the quiet moments, we have the opportunity to ask ourselves the bigger questions: what are we striving for, and why? Without the distractions of the external world, we can more clearly discern whether the path we are on aligns with our true values and desires. This level of clarity helps us to make more intentional choices in our lives, ensuring that we are moving in a direction that feels authentic and fulfilling. Silence can also reveal the unspoken truths that lie beneath the surface of our consciousness. Often we are aware of certain truths on a subconscious level, but the noise of everyday life keeps us from fully acknowledging them. In silence, these truths have the chance to rise to the surface, allowing us to confront them with honesty and courage. This process of confronting our inner truths, though sometimes uncomfortable, is essential for gaining the clarity we need to grow and evolve. As we become more comfortable with silence, we also develop a greater awareness of the present moment. In the absence of noise, we can focus more fully on what is happening right now, without being distracted by thoughts of the past or worries about the future. This heightened awareness brings a sense of clarity that allows us to engage with life more fully and meaningfully. Through silence, we cultivate the ability to see things as they are, rather than through the distorted lens of constant mental chatter. Finally, silence teaches us the value of simplicity. When we are constantly surrounded by noise, it is easy to get caught up in the complexities of life. But in silence, we can strip away the unnecessary and focus on what is essential. This clarity of focus allows us to prioritize what truly matters, whether in our personal lives, our work, or our relationships. Through this process of simplification, we gain a deeper sense of peace and purpose, as we are no longer weighed down by the distractions and complexities that once clouded our vision. Listening to the soul is an act of profound introspection, a journey inward to connect with the deepest part of ourselves. In a world filled with external noise, distractions, and expectations, the voice of the soul is often drowned out, yet it is always there, quietly guiding us from within. Tuning into this inner voice requires intention and practice. It is not something we can hear amid the chaos of everyday life, but when we create space for stillness and silence, we open ourselves to the wisdom that the soul offers. This voice is subtle, often manifesting as a gut feeling, a quiet knowing, or a persistent thought that keeps returning to us, urging us to pay attention. When we listen to the soul, we begin to understand our true desires and longings, not the ones shaped by societal expectations or external influences, but the ones that are uniquely ours. The soul knows what we need to feel fulfilled and at peace, and it constantly communicates this through intuition. However, we often ignore these messages, caught up in the demands and distractions of the world. Listening to the soul requires us to pause, to step away from the noise, and to turn inward. In this space of reflection, we can hear the soul's whispers more clearly, guiding us toward choices that align with our deepest truths. Listening to the soul also requires a deep sense of trust in ourselves. The soul speaks in ways that may not always make logical sense, and its messages often go against what the mind or society tells us. It may urge us to take risks, to walk away from situations that no longer serve us, or to pursue a path that seems uncertain or unconventional. This inner guidance is not always easy to follow because it often asks us to move outside of our comfort zones. But the soul's wisdom is rooted in authenticity and alignment with our higher purpose, and when we learn to trust it, we begin to live more in tune with who we truly are. The process of listening to the soul also involves embracing vulnerability. The soul often reveals truths that we may not want to face, truths about ourselves, our relationships, and our life choices. These revelations can be uncomfortable because they challenge the identities and beliefs we have constructed over time. But it is through this discomfort that growth happens. The soul's voice is not concerned with maintaining appearances or protecting the ego. It is concerned with our evolution, our healing, and our journey toward wholeness. By listening to this voice, we open ourselves to transformation, even when it feels difficult or uncertain. As we develop the practice of listening to the soul, we also become more attuned to the subtle signs and synchronicities in our lives. The soul communicates not only through intuition, but also through the experiences and patterns that unfold around us. When we are connected to our soul, we notice these signs more clearly, whether it's a conversation that resonates deeply, a dream that stays with us, or an opportunity that feels divinely timed. These signs are the soul's way of affirming that we are on the right path, guiding us toward the lessons we need to learn and the experiences that will help us grow. Listening to the soul also deepens our relationship with ourselves. It encourages self-awareness, self-compassion, and self-acceptance. The soul sees beyond the surface, beyond our perceived flaws and shortcomings, and connects us to our inherent worth and potential. When we listen to this inner voice, we begin to see ourselves through the lens of love and understanding, rather than through the critical and judgmental lens of the mind. This shift in perspective allows us to treat ourselves with greater kindness and to make decisions that honor our well-being and growth. The soul's voice is also a source of creative inspiration. Many of the world's greatest artists, thinkers, and innovators have spoken about moments of deep inspiration that seem to come from within, as if they are channeling something greater than themselves. This is the soul at work, offering insights and ideas that transcend the limitations of the rational mind. When we tap into the soul's wisdom, we access a wellspring of creativity that is authentic, original, and aligned with our unique gifts and purpose. This creativity is not just about artistic expression, it is about how we approach life, how we solve problems, and how we manifest our visions into reality. Listening to the soul also brings a sense of peace and inner stillness. While the mind may be filled with doubts, fears, and conflicting thoughts, the soul is grounded in a deeper sense of knowing. It is connected to a higher truth, one that is not swayed by external circumstances or the opinions of others. When we listen to the soul, we tap into this sense of inner peace, even in the midst of challenges and uncertainty. The soul reminds us that we are always guided, always supported, and that everything we need is already within us. The more we listen to the soul, the more we strengthen our intuition. Intuition is the language of the soul, a direct line of communication between our inner wisdom and our conscious mind. When we trust our intuition, we allow the soul to guide us in our decisions, our relationships, and our life choices. Over time, this trust deepens, and we begin to rely more on our inner guidance than on external validation or approval. This is where true empowerment lies, when we no longer seek answers outside of ourselves, but turn inward to the wisdom that has always been there, waiting for us to listen. In listening to the soul, we embark on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. The soul carries the blueprint of who we are meant to become, the lessons we are here to learn, and the gifts we are here to share with the world. By tuning into this inner voice, we align with our highest potential, stepping into a life that is more meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling. It is through listening to the soul that we find the courage to live authentically, to follow our true path, and to become the fullest expression of ourselves. Connection through stillness is a powerful and transformative experience that transcends the boundaries of ordinary interaction. In a world where we are constantly on the move, surrounded by endless distractions, it is easy to lose sight of the deeper connections that exist both within ourselves and with others. Stillness creates the space for these connections to emerge, allowing us to tap into a profound sense of presence and awareness. When we are still, we are not preoccupied with the demands of daily life, but instead become fully engaged with the moment, and in that moment, true connection unfolds. This connection is not limited to what we see or hear, but extends to an intuitive, almost spiritual level of understanding. Through stillness, we connect with ourselves in ways that are often overlooked. The act of being still is an invitation to turn inward, to listen to our thoughts, emotions, and inner guidance without the distractions of the outside world. In stillness, we become more attuned to our true feelings, our desires, and the subtle messages that our bodies and minds are constantly sending us. This self-connection is a vital component of overall well-being, as it allows us to align with our inner truth and make choices that reflect who we truly are. Without stillness, this connection can be lost in the noise of external pressures and expectations, leaving us feeling disconnected from our own essence. Stillness also deepens our connection with others. In our fast-paced lives, we often engage with people on a surface level, exchanging words and ideas but not fully present in the moment. When we bring stillness into our interactions, we allow ourselves to be fully present with another person, listening not just to their words but to the unspoken energy and emotions behind them. In this space of stillness, we can connect with others on a more profound level, experiencing a sense of empathy and understanding that goes beyond the intellect. This type of connection fosters deeper relationships as it creates a space for authenticity and vulnerability, where both individuals can be seen and heard in their entirety. Connection through stillness is also about tuning into the natural world. Nature has a stillness of its own, a quiet and steady rhythm that we often overlook in our busy lives. When we allow ourselves to be still in nature, we become more aware of the subtle interactions between the elements, the rustling of leaves, the flow of water, the movement of clouds. This stillness brings us into harmony with the natural world, reminding us of our place within it and fostering a sense of connection to something greater than ourselves. It is in this stillness that we can find solace, a reminder of the simplicity and beauty of life that often goes unnoticed in the rush of everyday living. The connection that arises through stillness extends beyond the physical and emotional to the spiritual. In many spiritual practices, stillness is seen as a gateway to connecting with the divine, the universe, or the deeper aspects of existence. When we quiet the mind and allow ourselves to be still, we open ourselves to receiving guidance, insights, and a sense of oneness with the greater whole. This spiritual connection is not something that can be forced or sought after in a traditional sense. It is something that emerges naturally when we create the space for it through stillness. In this way, stillness becomes a sacred practice, a means of aligning ourselves with the higher vibrations of peace, love, and unity. In stillness, we also connect with the timelessness of life. While we are often consumed with the past or the future, stillness anchors us in the present moment. It reminds us that life is happening right now, and that this moment is all we truly have. When we are still, we experience the fullness of the present, and in doing so, we connect with the eternal nature of existence. This sense of timelessness brings a deep sense of peace, as it allows us to let go of worries about what has been or what will be, and to simply be. In this space, we connect with the truth of our being, that we are not defined by our circumstances or the passage of time, but by the essence of who we are in each moment. Connection through stillness also brings clarity. When we are constantly in motion, our minds become cluttered with thoughts, concerns, and distractions. It becomes difficult to discern what is truly important and what is merely noise. In stillness, the clutter begins to fall away, and we are left with a clearer understanding of ourselves, our relationships, and our place in the world. This clarity enhances our connections, as it allows us to engage with others in the world from a place of authenticity and purpose. Rather than reacting to life from a place of confusion or overwhelm, we can respond with intention and clarity, fostering deeper and more meaningful connections in every area of our lives. Through stillness, we also connect with the creative energy that flows through us. Creativity often emerges in moments of stillness, when we are not actively trying to force ideas or solutions, but are simply allowing them to come. In this space, we tap into the wellspring of inspiration that resides within us, and ideas begin to flow naturally. This creative connection is not just about artistic expression, but extends to how we live our lives, how we solve problems, and how we engage with the world around us. Stillness allows us to access this creative flow, leading to insights and innovations that might not have emerged in the busyness of our day-to-day lives. Connection through stillness is also a way to cultivate gratitude. When we are still, we become more aware of the simple blessings in our lives, the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds, the feeling of our breath. This awareness fosters a sense of gratitude for the present moment and for the many small gifts that often go unnoticed. In stillness, we are able to connect with the abundance that already exists in our lives, and this connection to gratitude has the power to shift our perspective, bringing more joy and contentment into our everyday experience. Ultimately, connection through stillness is about coming home to ourselves and to the world around us. It is about remembering that we are not separate from the world, from others, or from the divine, but that we are all interconnected in ways that are often invisible but deeply felt. Stillness creates the space for these connections to become visible, allowing us to experience the fullness of life with a sense of presence, awareness, and peace. Through stillness, we reconnect with the truth of who we are, with the people we love, and with the world that surrounds us, cultivating a deeper sense of belonging and purpose in all that we do. Courage in silence is a profound strength that often goes unnoticed in a world that glorifies loudness and outward action. In moments of silence, we are faced with ourselves, our thoughts, fears, and vulnerabilities, and it takes immense courage to sit with these aspects of our inner world. Silence forces us to confront what we often avoid: our doubts, insecurities, and the uncertainty that life presents. It is in these quiet moments that we discover a different kind of bravery, one that doesn't need to be seen or validated by others. This courage is internal, a quiet resilience that comes from facing the unknown without the distractions of noise or action. There is courage in resisting the urge to fill silence with words or distractions. Often, when we are uncomfortable or unsure, we rush to speak, to act, or to do something that will alleviate the discomfort of stillness. But true courage lies in allowing that discomfort to exist, and sitting with it and understanding what it has to teach us. Silence creates the space for reflection, for processing emotions that may be too overwhelming to face in the moment. In this stillness, we build the strength to confront our deepest fears, knowing that we cannot escape them by filling the void with noise. Courage in silence also means trusting the process of life without always having to force outcomes. It is natural to want to control situations, to feel that we are actively shaping our futures through our words and actions. But there are times when the most courageous thing we can do is to step back, allow things to unfold, and trust that the silence will reveal what is needed. This requires faith not in a passive sense, but in an active surrender to the unknown. It takes courage to believe that silence holds answers, that in the space of quiet, solutions will emerge that we could not have found through force or pressure. In relationships, courage in silence often means allowing space for others to speak, to express themselves, or to simply be, without feeling the need to interject or fix things. It takes bravery to sit in silence with someone, especially in moments of pain or tension, and to trust that your presence is enough. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer others is our silent support, a quiet affirmation that we are there for them without needing to say or do anything. This kind of courage is about releasing the need for control, allowing space for others to feel heard and understood without interruption or judgment. There is also courage in finding peace within the silence of solitude. Being alone with ourselves can be one of the most daunting experiences, as it strips away the external validations and distractions that we often rely on. In the silence of solitude, we are faced with our true selves, the parts we are proud of, as well as the parts we may not like to acknowledge. It takes immense courage to sit with these truths, to accept them without judgment, and to find peace in our own company. In doing so, we build a deeper connection with ourselves, learning to trust our inner voice and intuition. Courage in silence also involves knowing when not to speak, especially in moments of conflict or high emotion. There are times when silence can be more powerful than words, when holding back from reacting immediately gives us the clarity to respond with intention rather than impulse. This takes courage because it requires restraint and the ability to stay present with uncomfortable feelings without immediately seeking to resolve or explain them. In these moments, silence becomes a tool for emotional regulation, allowing us the space to process and understand before we speak or act. The courage to remain silent can also be a form of resistance. In a world that often demands that we conform, speak up, or explain ourselves, choosing silence can be an act of defiance. It can be a way of asserting our boundaries, of refusing to engage in conversations or situations that do not serve us or align with our values. This kind of silence is not passive, it is a powerful statement of self-respect and personal integrity. It takes courage to resist the pressure to always be vocal, to understand that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Courage in silence is also about listening, truly listening to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. It takes bravery to quiet our own thoughts and opinions long enough to hear what is being said, both externally and internally. In this act of listening, we open ourselves up to new perspectives and insights that we might have missed in the noise. It takes courage to listen without judgment, without immediately formulating a response, and to allow what we hear to sink in and transform us. In moments of uncertainty or fear, courage in silence means allowing ourselves to sit with the unknown. It is human nature to want answers, to seek certainty, and to avoid the discomfort of not knowing what comes next. But silence teaches us that it's okay to not have all the answers, that there is power in sitting with uncertainty and allowing ourselves to be present in the moment. This kind of courage is about embracing the unknown, trusting that the silence will eventually give way to clarity, and understanding that we do not always need to have everything figured out. Healing through silence is a process that allows the mind, body, and spirit to recover in a way that words or actions sometimes cannot facilitate. In the constant noise of daily life, we are often bombarded with external stimuli, conversations, media, and the overwhelming demands of modern living. In the midst of this, the simple act of being silent can be a powerful tool for healing. Silence creates a sanctuary where we can reconnect with ourselves, providing a much-needed space for reflection and recovery. When we quiet the outside world, we allow our inner world to surface, where healing truly begins. The healing that comes through silence is rooted in the power of introspection. In silence, we are no longer distracted by the external, and our attention turns inward. This inward focus allows us to confront the emotions, memories, and thoughts that may have been pushed aside or ignored. The pain that has been buried often comes to light in moments of stillness. And though this can be uncomfortable, it is a necessary part of the healing journey. Silence gives us the opportunity to face these inner wounds without the noise of outside opinions or distractions, leading to a deeper understanding of what needs to be healed. In silence, we become more attuned to the body's natural ability to heal itself. Our physical bodies carry stress, tension, and trauma that we may not even be consciously aware of. When we allow ourselves to be still, the body has a chance to release this stored tension. The muscles relax, the breath slows, and the nervous system begins to calm. This physiological response to silence can be deeply restorative, creating the conditions for the body to repair and renew itself. Healing through silence is not just about emotional or mental recovery, but about giving the body the space to rest and heal as well. Silence also fosters a deep connection to our emotional landscape. Emotions, particularly difficult ones like grief, anger, or sadness, often get silenced in the hustle of daily life. We distract ourselves from these feelings through busy schedules or by seeking external validation. But in silence, these emotions can rise to the surface, and instead of running from them, we are able to sit with them. This sitting with emotion, without judgment or the need to fix it, is where profound healing occurs. Silence allows us to honor these feelings, giving them the attention they deserve, and in doing so, we begin to process and release them. Healing through silence is also about creating space for clarity. When we are constantly surrounded by noise, it becomes difficult to hear the quiet voice of intuition or to see situations clearly. Silence gives us the gift of clarity about our desires, our needs, and the path we must take to heal. Without the constant input from the outside world, our minds can settle, and in that settling, we often find the answers we were searching for. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to us the truths we may have been too busy to recognize, truths that are essential for our healing process. Through silence, we can also tap into a deeper sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. Life can be chaotic, and we often look to the world around us to provide peace or comfort. But healing through silence teaches us that peace comes from within. In moments of stillness, we can access a calm that is steady and unwavering, even in the midst of external turmoil. This inner peace is a vital part of healing, as it provides the emotional stability needed to navigate the challenges of life with grace and resilience. In silence, we discover that peace is not something we need to chase, it is something we already possess. Silence is also a gateway to spiritual healing. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of silence as a means of connecting to the divine, to the universe, or to a higher power. In silence, we can open ourselves to spiritual guidance and the deeper meanings of life. This spiritual connection brings a sense of purpose and perspective that can be incredibly healing, especially during times of loss, confusion, or despair. Healing through silence is not just about mending the mind or body, but about realigning with the spirit and finding solace in something greater than ourselves. Another aspect of healing through silence is the cultivation of mindfulness. Silence encourages us to be present in the moment, to fully experience life as it unfolds without the distractions of thought or speech. This presence can be healing in itself, as it allows us to step out of the past or future and into the now. When we are fully present, we are better able to appreciate the small joys of life, to connect with our surroundings, and to experience gratitude for the moment we are in. This mindfulness helps to alleviate stress and anxiety, creating a sense of wholeness that is integral to the healing process. Healing through silence also allows us to detach from the expectations and pressures placed upon us by society or others. In silence, we no longer need to perform, to explain ourselves, or to meet anyone else's standards. This detachment from external pressures gives us the freedom to explore who we truly are, without the noise of others' opinions or judgments. It is in this space of silence that we can reconnect with our authentic selves, which is essential for true healing. Silence helps us strip away the layers of conditioning, revealing the core of who we are and allowing us to heal from the inside out. Finally, healing through silence provides us with the opportunity to listen to the whispers of our own soul. In the quiet moments, we can hear the inner guidance that often gets drowned out in the noise of life. This inner voice is wise and knows what we need for our healing journey. Whether it is rest, forgiveness, or a new direction, silence gives us access to this wisdom. The soul speaks softly, and it is only in silence that we can hear its call. When we honor this call, we begin to heal in ways that are profound and lasting. The balance of speech and reflection is a delicate and essential practice in both personal and interpersonal growth. In a world that often prioritizes speaking up, sharing opinions, and constant communication, the value of reflection can easily be overlooked. However, meaningful speech is only truly effective when it is grounded in thoughtful reflection. Reflection allows us to process our experiences, emotions, and thoughts before we share them with others. It gives us the opportunity to discern whether what we are about to say is truly necessary, helpful, or aligned with our deeper values. Without this balance, speech can become reactive rather than intentional, causing misunderstandings or missed opportunities for genuine connection. Reflection gives our words depth and clarity. When we take the time to pause and reflect, we are able to organize our thoughts and ensure that what we say carries weight and purpose. It's in these moments of introspection that we can sift through our emotions, analyze our perspectives, and decide how best to articulate them. Speaking without reflection often leads to impulsive or surface-level communication, which can be ineffective or even harmful. However, when reflection precedes speech, our words carry the power to connect, to heal, and to inspire. This balance creates conversations that are both thoughtful and impactful, fostering deeper understanding between ourselves and others. On the flip side, speech also informs reflection. There is value in sharing our thoughts and ideas with others, as this exchange can provide us with new insights or perspectives we hadn't considered. Engaging in dialogue can reveal blind spots in our thinking or areas where further reflection is needed. The process of articulating our thoughts out loud can also help clarify them for ourselves. It's a cyclical relationship. Speech offers the opportunity for feedback and growth, while reflection helps us digest and integrate what we've learned. By engaging in both speech and reflection, we create a dynamic process of learning and self-awareness. Finding balance between speech and reflection is particularly important in relationships. Too much speech without reflection can lead to misunderstandings or emotional outbursts, while too much reflection without sharing can create distance or isolation. Healthy communication requires that we are mindful of both speaking when necessary, but also taking the time to listen and reflect before responding. In doing so, we show respect for both ourselves and the other person. We are not just speaking to be heard, but speaking with intention and understanding, and we are equally willing to pause and reflect on what is being communicated to us. In moments of conflict, the balance of speech and reflection becomes even more crucial. It's easy to react impulsively when emotions are heightened, but this often leads to regret or escalation. Taking a moment to reflect before speaking allows us to process our feelings and approach the situation with a calmer, more thoughtful response. Reflection helps us to ask important questions. What is the true source of my frustration? Is this the right moment to address it? How can I communicate my feelings in a way that fosters resolution rather than further conflict? Speech, when balanced with reflection, becomes a tool for resolving issues rather than exacerbating them. In personal development, this balance allows us to express our truths while also ensuring that those truths are grounded in self-awareness. When we reflect before speaking, we engage in a process of self-examination, questioning the motivations behind our words. Are we speaking out of ego, fear, or insecurity, or are our words aligned with our highest intentions? Reflection enables us to become more conscious of the energy behind our speech, helping us to communicate with integrity. On the other hand, expressing our reflections through speech helps us externalize our inner journey, sharing our growth with others and inviting feedback or support along the way. The balance between speech and reflection also plays a key role in leadership. Effective leaders know when to speak and when to listen, when to offer guidance and when to reflect on the needs of their team. A leader who speaks without reflection may appear impulsive or authoritarian, while one who reflects without speaking may seem passive or indecisive. True leadership lies in the ability to combine both communicating clearly and confidently, while also taking the time to consider the impact of those words and actions. Reflection allows leaders to evaluate their decisions, while speech enables them to inspire, direct, and engage those around them. In creative expression, balancing speech and reflection leads to deeper artistic or intellectual output. Whether through writing, art, or other forms of communication, creativity often requires moments of silence and contemplation before the creation can be shared. Reflection provides the space to develop ideas, to refine thoughts, and to consider how best to convey them. Without reflection, creative speech can feel rushed or incomplete. On the other hand, speech or artistic expression gives form to the insights gained during reflection, bringing internal understanding into the external world. Creativity thrives in the balance between inward reflection and outward expression. The balance of speech and reflection also teaches us the value of silence. Not everything needs to be said immediately, and some things are better left unsaid altogether. Silence, when combined with reflection, can be a powerful communicator in itself. It allows us to listen to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. It gives us the opportunity to observe and absorb without the need to respond right away. In this way, silence becomes a form of reflection, a pause that allows for greater understanding and insight. When we are comfortable with silence, we are better able to discern when speech is truly necessary.